Welcome, Geek Nation, to another episode of the Average Joe Geek Show. I'm Justin Neal.
And I'm TJ Carter.
2014. Wow. It has been a very exciting year for just entertainment and geek news announcements. TJ, where do we even start off on this?
Wow. Well, let's start off by the fact that geeks haven't had a chance to breathe yet. Because between the announcements of Marvel and DC this year playing chess with each other, Marvel ultimately making a checkmate to DC, most recently a couple weeks ago announcing their full slate of movies, 2014, as you said, has been incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Let's start with the fact that DC has brought to television, they continue to do their show Arrow on the CW, which is an incredible show. Mm-hmm. They also have started The Flash this year, which ratings have been off the chart for that one, first 2 episodes. They started Gotham, which is probably the most exciting endeavor that they're making on TV because it's not the Batman story, it's the James Gordon story. But it stars the people that we know, the Harvey Dents of the world, the Penguins, the Oswald Cobblepots, the possible Joker Easter eggs. They love putting Easter eggs in those shows. Watch them closely.
And spoiler alert, in this past episode, have you caught up yet on it?
No.
Wow.
I'm not.
I hate to do this to you,
Okay.
But they did introduce Zaz. Zaz was in this recent episode. So that was pretty cool. So they brought in Zaz. And of course, he's just, cutting victims into his skin. So that was cool. And actually, speaking of which, the next episode or next couple episodes is going to have Harvey Dent in it.
Yep, I read that.
Which is very cool.
Apparently now I have to go home and watch Gotham.
Yeah. Shame on you for not catching up. Let's see what else. Yeah, Gotham. Me being personally a huge Batman fan, seeing a Gotham TV show was very exciting. Now, granted, the pilot episode, the very first episode, I was not too sure how this show would go. It seemed like it unrolled rather quickly. It was
very fast. You met everybody in the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, exactly. And in normal television episodes, it just seemed that it was rushed. It was too rushed for a pilot episode, in my opinion. So I was a little wary of it, and then again, being a Batman fan, still watching it, and it's progressively gotten better and better and better. So there is hope for it, and it's nice because the last time they had a Batman TV show, at least the live action TV show, was the Adam West days. So it's kind of nice to see Gotham kind of bring it back to life on the small screen.
Exactly.
In a more dark way than what we're used to since the Dark Knight films.
Yes, and the rumor is, unfortunately though, and because this is the James Gordon story, we won't see, according to the director of the show, whose name escapes me right now, we will not see the Batman per se. We'll see Bruce Wayne, and we'll see the hints of the Batman, but we will never see the Batman himself. So it's kind of a bittersweet pill to swallow, but if you enjoy a great story, a great backstory of other characters from this universe, of the villains that they touch on, they have Catwoman, they have Harvey Dent, as we've talked about, Edward Nygma, gosh, the list just goes on and on. Oswald Cobblepot, who's a huge role in this show.
Poison Ivy. We haven't seen a lot from Poison Ivy yet. Maybe has something down the line, but granted, she's still just a child in this
She
one
is
too.
just a child,
Yeah.
as is Catwoman. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you got Gotham. Flash is. I personally have not seen Flash yet. I know, shame on me. I've heard it's been amazing though.
I'm a few episodes behind on Flash, but what I can speak of, the first couple episodes were off the chart. It seemed like maybe they were stretching because they wanted to ride the success of Arrow that Arrow's having, and it seems to me that with Flash they went in a different direction, which was good. Now, while they still plan to cross over Flash and Arrow, which they have on a couple occasions so far in the Flash episode. You've kind of seen Arrow and back and forth. They want to make the universe of the TV world connected. Again, DC loves putting their Easter eggs in there, so watch closely.
And I kind of wish that Gotham had gone to the CW so that they could have crossed over all three of them. That would have been epic right there. I mean, personally, as a geek, for all geeks, I mean, just having three shows that kind of, cross over to each other would have been amazing. Because personally, I'm not a fan of Fox. I'm sorry, Fox Network, you guys suck. I'm just going to put it out there because they have a track record, as we all know, of canceling good shows in their prime.
We don't have enough time to go down the list of all those shows. Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama, Firefly. I mean, they just, like I said, that's a rant for another show. Tell me, what else was 2014? I'm drawing blanks here.
Well, 2014. Let's go to the big screen. While DC decided to stay quiet on the big screen, and all we've heard really from DC in 2014 is kind of their list. They've announced their movies out until 2020. We know that happened about 2 months ago. We do know that DC also has teased, and they keep teasing, the Dawn of Justice, the Batman vs Superman movie that everyone is looking forward to. Whether or not you like the casting of Ben Affleck, I guess that's another rant for another. Yeah, that's another rant for another episode for some people. Me personally, I enjoy that, but I'm going to leave it at that.
We'll get in that debate in the Batman episode that we'll do down the road. And there was an uproar with the Wonder Woman casting as well. The choice of who they picked for Wonder Woman.
A beautiful, beautiful young woman, Gal Gadot, most notably of Fast and Furious fame, doesn't necessarily fit the Wonder Woman mold, I guess you would say. But from the rumors from the set, that she is starting to fit that role very nicely. There's also, DC has plans to do their own 2 Wonder Woman movies. Rumors are that they take place in the past. We all know that there is the Suicide Squad movie that comes out in 2016 that also has a lot of hype behind it because of the news that they just announced most recently. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So I'm gonna. This was just. I don't know if it was really leaked or is it a rumor, but is it a rumor?
It's a rumor right now.
Okay, so for right now, the rumor is the new Joker is going. They're leaning towards Jared Leto as being Joker. He had, from the picture that they posted on the article with him and his long hair and kind of scruffy beard, whatever. I could kind of see him physically being the Joker. He's skinny because he's a skinnier guy. I just don't know if he has the acting ability to be the Joker. But then again, I said the same thing about Heath Ledger, and we all know
we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a touchy subject. The Joker is now a character that forever will be compared to. If we think back to when The Dark Knight came out, we know that Heath Ledger was compared to Jack Nicholson. How will he compare to Jack Nicholson? We obviously saw that Christopher Nolan took the Joker of Heath Ledger in a completely different direction of who the Joker was supposed to be as compared to a Jack Nicholson type character who's more funny and more kind of made us laugh and like, that's Jack. We know Jack can be creepy. We all seen The Shining where he sticks his head with the axe, and we know Jack has that creepy factor and that funny factor, and he fit perfectly in 1989. But in 2007, when The Dark Knight came out, Heath Ledger was more of a better answer to the who can be the Joker. And the way that he portrayed the Joker, we obviously know nobody will ever touch that role. As good as Heath Ledger did, I guess I should say.
Exactly. He totally made the role his own, but you can't also forget Mark Hamill. Because he's the longest running portrayal of the Joker to date.
Yes.
He just recently stopped with the last Arkham City video game, voicing the Joker, and I mean, it just because each actor has made it their own. Now, granted, Mark Hamill has just been the voice, but I mean, that's pretty much all you need when it comes to the Joker.
Exactly.
Because Heath Ledger made it his own with the way he sounded like the Joker. Jack Nicholson was just kind of crazy Jack. he didn't really change too much except for the acting that he did in it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Jared Leto.
I'm not a huge Jared Leto fan. I know he did win an Oscar last year, this most previous year for the Dallas Buyers Club. I want to say he won the Oscar for supporting actor. May have to check my facts on that. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. But he was in Dallas Buyers Club. That's his most recent movie. He got a lot of great praise for that movie, for the character that he played. But I think when you take on the Joker, you take on a whole different world. Heath Ledger became the Joker. Heath Ledger embodied the Joker. Whether it be the way that he talked, his body language, his characterizations of his line of, you want to know how I got these scars. Heath Ledger played it perfectly, and it's unfortunate that Heath Ledger died way too soon, and we won't get to see him do another Joker role. But it's always open to interpretation, and we can always see somebody different. Which is,
like I said, at this point, it's just hearsay. It's a rumor. It has not been confirmed, but it's definitely a different choice.
Yes.
I don't know. Who would you like to see as a Joker? I mean, with all the actors we have out there, what would be who do you think would be able to fit in those shoes?
Gosh, I would have to say, the rumors I remember during The Dark Knight Rises of Johnny Depp being the Joker. It's cliche, and we all know Johnny Depp has that range to be a different character. We've seen him as the Mad Hatter or as Jack Sparrow. I think Johnny Depp could pull off the Joker. He may be more of a Jack Nicholson type of Joker, where he's funny. It's tough to say because that's a role that all you can see is Heath Ledger. Even thinking about it right now, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who could play the Joker as well as Heath Ledger. That's a tough question.
Okay. Well, moving on then. Let's see. So we had the Suicide Squad. What else?
After the Suicide Squad announcement, which we know is 2016, DC Comics decided that they were going to make their other announcements. That's when they decided that they were going to make the two Wonder Woman movies. We have a Lego Batman movie, not to be confused with the original Batman, a Lego Batman movie. We also have a Cyborg movie coming out in 2020, along with what many people claim to be the greatest reboot idea of all time in the Green Lantern, because we all know that Ryan Reynolds, awesome guy, messed up Green Lantern. So we get the second shot at that. But we'll talk about Ryan in a little bit because he got his due from another comic company.
That's right, he did. So that moves us on into the Marvel big news.
Great segue.
So yeah, I mean DC. The problem is though, it seems like DC they're trying to catch up with what Marvel's doing, but they still don't have a game plan. And they're coming up with a game plan, but it just seems like they're trying to copy what Marvel is doing right now, and they should be starting back of what Marvel did back when Marvel was climbing up, into success, where you do the individual character movies and then you bring them together into a Justice League movie. It's like
Thank you. I didn't even mention the Justice League. Of course, there's going to be a Justice League. We all know that. That was the other big news too from DC.
Yeah, Justice League. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like they have no real direction. They're just kind of throwing, okay, we're just gonna do Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, tease, bring in Wonder Woman in there with, as not really a cameo, but as a supporting character. I think that was
Cyborg.
Cyborg was
also supposed to be a cameo in that movie as well.
I don't believe was Flash going to be announced?
No Flash. Possibly Aquaman, which is another movie that they announced too.
The Aquaman was announced.
The actor's name, Jason. The last name escapes me right now. From Game of Thrones, I want to say.
Yeah, he played in Game of Thrones. He was also in Stargate Atlantis. He played a character in Stargate Atlantis.
Is Aquaman.
And he did the Conan the Barbarian movie
That's
remake
right.
because he was Conan. Which is a very interesting choice for. I know we're going off subject there, but just as seeing the Aquaman in the comics being this blonde-headed white boy, and then going to this more darker, scruffier looking is definitely.
We can only
direction.
hope that DC is deciding to take Aquaman to where they took Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy, to a darker place, and that's the looks of it from here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a different choice in casting. I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I don't know much about Aquaman myself. I don't think a lot of people do. But it's curious to see what they're going to do with that character for his own movie, and then bring him into the Justice League. But it's just, okay, so back to the whole Justice League, and DC just, they have no direction, where you have with Marvel,
Phases.
what's his name?
Phases. You have phases.
Not just phases, like, they didn't really have the phases until after, or maybe they did.
Well, they announced when they made Iron Man 1 that the idea was, okay, let's start something here. Let's see what we can do.
Was it before Iron Man or after Iron Man?
It was after the original Iron Man got released.
Okay.
When people didn't know, this is going to be a little risky.
After it became a success.
We're not doing a big name superhero. We're doing Iron Man. What do we know about Iron Man? Not a whole lot, unless you're like one of us and you've read the comics, religiously. You know who Iron Man is. You know Tony Stark. You know how he became Iron Man. And so they decided that, Iron Man was such a success. Let's try the Incredible Hulk again. And they hit it with Edward Norton, who was a great Hulk. Depressed. I was disappointed, not necessarily depressed, but disappointed that he never made it in the Avengers crew.
Yeah.
But nothing against Mark Ruffalo. He's turned out to be an awesome Hulk as well.
He really has.
And so then they gambled again. Okay, let's do Iron Man 2. And they hit with that. They hit with Iron Man 2. Why stop there? Now let's go with the big gun. And that's when they brought out Captain America, the first Avenger. And
they brought in Thor. Thor was the next one.
Was it Thor first?
Thor
Okay.
Thor came because it was the same year. Both of them were released in the same year.
Okay,
So Thor came first in the spring.
right.
And then Captain America, the first Avenger, was in the summer, right after that. It was the same year. I was like,
They were kind of back to back. They kind of slammed us, and okay, here's my
two
wallet,
Marvel movies. Yeah, exactly. Two Marvel movies in 1 year, just spaced apart. One in the spring, one in the late summer. Yeah.
So we have we now have Phase 1. We have the Avengers set up, and what was great is we'll always remember the quote at the end of the Iron Man, the first Iron Man, when we see Samuel L. Jackson portraying Nick Fury for the first time. And he says the words, "You're part of a bigger universe." Those words said it for Marvel. And they haven't looked back ever since they made that movie. And why not? They've ran the tables. Marvel can't miss with anything. And if you need proof of that, let's go back to this summer when they made a talking tree and a raccoon relevant as
Guardians
the
of
most
the
popular characters in Guardians of the Galaxy.
And that was a huge gamble because I remember when that was first announced that they were in the process of making that. And I'm not a big comic book geek. I know a little bit, but I'd never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm like, who are these people? And to see the art that they had, the characters, I'm just like, I don't know. Seeing Gort and
It was
seeing
a lot
Rocket,
of questions.
I'm like, how is this going to be? How's this going to turn out? But blew everybody away. It blew my expectations.
There were a lot of questions. Here's some quick stats on Guardians. This is what Guardians did for Marvel. They had a $170 million budget when they made this film. Their domestic total at the box office was $329,589,000. A lot of numbers. 9 digits is a big number, and Marvel hit it. Marvel hit a home run with characters who we didn't even know, but people came to see it because they knew that these characters were going to become part of the universe. So after they did that, what did Marvel do next? They decided to call checkpoint on DC's move about announcing their movies. And they blew us all away a couple weeks ago when they announced the next, I want to say 8 movies from the Marvel Universe, which will, if you're a if you're a geek like us, is just probably you had to hold yourself up and not pass out. Because we now know that we have the Black Panther coming. We have Doctor Strange coming. We saw Thanos in Guardians, and we know that now there's an Infinity War in Avengers 3. We know Ant-Man's coming next year. And the biggest news of them all, we know that there's going to be Civil War, which I think is a topic on its own, a huge, huge news for Marvel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, for me, when I heard that it was going to be Captain America Civil War, I was just like, whoa, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't own a lot of the Marvel comics. Like I said, not a big comic book fan. I know a lot about it, but the one Marvel story arc that I do have is the Civil War series. And I remember when I was living in LA about 6 years ago, when I went to the comic book shop there on Sunset Boulevard, and I went in and bought these comics and took them home, started reading them. I was real curious about the storyline, and my God, I mean, for a comic, it is fantastic. And I was like, I'd always love to see this as a movie. It'd be fantastic as a movie. But I feel like it's too soon, because it's coming out in, what, 2017, correct? 2016?
Hang on a second.
Yeah, I think it was,
I got
2016.
the information right here.
Yeah, May 6, 2016 is Captain America Civil War. I just feel like it's too soon, maybe, because there's so...
I think what we're going to see is the start of Civil War. I don't think we'll necessarily see the entire Civil War play out in that one movie, because it has to stretch itself over time. Because I think Marvel knows this. They can't put it right here and say, okay, well, we're just going to start with this. We're going to stretch this out over time, as we did with the first, the Avengers, how we got to the Avengers. Civil War, I think, is bigger than the Captain America movie itself.
Exactly, because, have you had a chance to check out the Civil War?
I own the Civil War story arc. I love it. I think it's probably one of the greatest stories told by Marvel. The Infinity Gauntlet being a close second, which we'll see in the Avengers Part 3. Or the Avengers Part 3 split into two parts, which will be the first time Marvel does that. So that's probably the time when we'll see the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy on the same screen at the same time. Lots of star power there in that one.
Yeah. I mean, and the reason I bring that up is too soon is the fact that the Civil War story arc is so big, and there's so many Marvel characters involved with it, which is pretty much all of them that Marvel has. That it should have been an Avengers movie that's split up into two parts. I think because you got so much going on with the Superhuman Registration Act, and then it ends at the very end with the death of Captain America. Spoiler for all those out there who don't know that. Sorry, but yeah, it does lead into his death, subsequent death. But as we all know in the comic world, characters die and come back all the time. And his death really took a toll on Tony Stark. But there's also that dynamic where in the Civil War comic, there's a lot of history between Captain America and Tony Stark on paper, but in the cinematic universe there isn't a whole lot. Like in the comics, they're really good friends. They started out being on opposite sides of the fence, and then really becoming buddy, and then this whole Civil War thing just tears them apart, and then now they're fighting each other. But we don't have that dynamic in the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's too soon. That's why I'm kind of, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm a little nervous of the fact that it might be too soon to do Civil War.
And I agree with you. I think what we've learned from Marvel, though, is kind of like the trust fall experiment, where someone stands behind you when you fall backwards, and you hope that they catch you. I think Marvel's going to catch us. I think Marvel knows what they're doing. I think that they're going to hit a home run with this, much like they do everything, as well as they will with the Infinity War, with Inhumans, which is another movie that's coming out, which will be their 20th production for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They also have the Black Panther, which introducing that character has brought a lot of people, has raised a lot of people's faith in Marvel. Like, okay, they're making all the characters now. Let's not forget that they also signed the deal with Netflix too, and starting in 2015, we'll see the Daredevil series, which I'm a huge Daredevil fan myself. One of my favorites, The Man Without Fear. We'll see Daredevil, we'll see the Iron Fist, we'll see Luke Cage, and we'll see Jessica Jones, all culminating into a Netflix miniseries of the Defenders. Those characters may very easily play into the roles of the Marvel Universe somehow, as they do on S.H.I.E.L.D., at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is another great thing for Marvel.
And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has definitely gotten better, especially towards the last half of the first season. When they did, it got better when, personally, what was it? After the Captain America.
After S.H.I.E.L.D. disbanded, yeah.
Yeah, after the Winter Soldier movie, and then they crossed over the events of Winter Soldier into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and this season 2 that we're currently on, that whole story arc is still going on, and it's fantastic. So, Marvel is definitely, catching up with DC on the television front.
Right.
But DC is lagging behind in the cinemas.
And I think we need to face facts, at least if there are DC fans out there. Marvel is way ahead of the game, and you probably will never catch up. That's just a straight fact. There's nothing more simpler to say, because we all know that Marvel's not going to miss with anything so far.
Yeah, but this is where I have to disagree with you. I think they can catch up, but the problem is they're rushing it right now. Like I said, they're putting two titans on the same screen, which is Batman versus Superman. They should have done a second Man of Steel first off, and then have done a Batman versus Superman, and then done like I said, follow the same formula that Marvel did and do a Wonder Woman movie, and then a Cyborg movie, and then a Flash and a Green Lantern, and then do a Dawn of Justice.
Culminate it into the Justice League.
Exactly, and then do the Batman versus Superman, and right after Batman versus Superman, do the Justice League. But it just seems like they're doing it all ass backwards. They're doing Batman versus Superman, then a Justice League, and then individual films after that. It just the formula just doesn't seem like it's going to work out too well for them, I don't think. And part of the problem is, well, I don't know if it's more the fact that if it's more Warner Brothers doing all this, or if it's DC spearheading all this. But like Marvel has what's his name?
Matt Feig, yeah.
Matt Feig.
Yeah.
He's been spearheading this since the beginning with the first Iron Man movie, and it's just it seems like he's got the clear direction of, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5.
And let's not look past this, as scary as this sounds. Joss Whedon, this is his last Avengers film. He's leaving the franchise after this. So Avengers: The Infinity War will actually be done by the Russo brothers, who are doing Captain America: Civil War and the previous Captain America: Winter Soldier movie that came out earlier this year.
But Winter Soldier,
Winter Soldier was a huge success.
I liked Winter Soldier more than I did for the first Captain America movie.
A lot of people said that, yep.
So I have faith in them. But like I said, Whedon has only done the first Avengers, and now he's doing the second Avengers, and that's it. He hasn't done any of the other, like you had Kenneth Branagh did the first Thor, and then someone else came in to do the second Thor. And the second Thor was a great sequel, I thought.
Yes, it was.
So I'm not really worried too much about the directors. I think the directors will be fine. But you have Matt Feig, he's overseeing all this. Like, he's set up, okay, we'll do this one, then this one, and this one, where you don't really have that with DC.
No, you don't. You don't have any organization with DC. I think going off subject, but it raises a great point, is let's not forget that while DC and Warner Brothers have all their characters right there, and they're their characters, let's not look past the fact that, as we all know, Sony owns Spider-Man, Fox owns the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, which is a big strike to the Marvel Universe. They most recently got back Ghost Rider, So Marvel could make their own movie of Ghost Rider if they wanted to.
Punisher as well.
Punisher as well. Yep. Great point. Punisher has to be done right though.
And Daredevil came back to
Daredevil
Marvel
came back as well.
They're doing the Netflix show.
So I remember that while we're watching the Civil War, which involved the entire Marvel universe, we have to remember cinematically, the entire Marvel universe is not on the screen. I think that's something to look at.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But also, does with everything that's going great with Marvel, obviously they're making a lot of smart creative moves. But is it also giving them more, I guess, more power having Disney backing them? Because now they kind of have like an unlimited budget where they could throw $600 million into a film and
I think
and just be like, okay, go have some fun.
On that point, I think that was the greatest purchase Disney ever could have made was Marvel, because I heard it recently on a special 1 hour on television. Kevin Smith said it best. He said Disney always had princesses for girls. Disney never had anything for the boys. Now Disney has Captain America. Disney has Iron Man. Disney has the Hulk, Thor, etc., etc., etc. Disney has all these answers now for boys. And leading into that, let's not forget what else Disney has in their back pocket, just in case, they ever need some extra cash.
That they just acquired, which will lead us up to the last half of our show with this recent announcement, was, the Star Wars universe. And a lot of people were nervous when the news broke that Disney took over Marvel, because they're like, oh God, they're going to completely ruin Marvel. And it's actually helped Marvel, and it has done what I predicted it would do, and that's basically Disney just bought them to acquire the rights and to make the money and to let them do their own thing. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Star Wars franchise.
Yes.
And with the recent announcement of the title for episode 7, right?
Episode 7,
Episode
yep.
7, The Force Awakens.
Woof. Sent shivers down my spine when I heard it for the first time.
Did you like
Gotta
the
tell
title
you.
of The Force Awakens?
I guess, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this from people out there, but post Return of the Jedi, I'm not really caught up on the Star Wars universe as to what happens. From what I hear, The Force Awakens is actually a good title for the movie. It should be interesting to see. My biggest question with Episode 7, and we can save this for another episode, is the bringing back of the legends of Mark Hamill, of Carrie Fisher, and the great Harrison Ford. We all saw Harrison Ford in the last Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is an Indiana Jones movie we all would much rather forget.
Yeah. Let's just forget that ever happened, shall we?
How does Han Solo look at 65 years old? We know Carrie Fisher's not fitting into that slave Leia bikini anytime soon. And Mark Hamill probably looks the best out of all three of them. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they take those characters to in this movie, plus the new characters that we're going to get introduced to. Hopefully there's no Jar Jar Binks. Please don't let there be a Jar Jar Binks.
No, I think Jar Jar died in Clone Wars. At least, God, I hope so. Or during Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, and the Emperor just had him killed finally. But yeah, and it's funny because they've released photos of Mark Hamill with his beard, and he looks a lot like
very rugged,
a lot like Obi-Wan from New Hope.
Could be a spoiler right there.
Well, and that's the thing with the Star Wars movies, because the titles have always, basically said what the movie was about. You had New Hope, which is obviously a New Hope. You had The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Now it's kind of, I'm curious as to what The Force Awakens is. Is this...
I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. But that's speculation for another time.
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Average Joe Geek Show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website at www.averagejoegeekshow.com for the latest in news and movie and television reviews by me and TJ. And I will leave you with, may the Force be with you, so that you may live long and prosper. So say we all. Till next time.
Don't cross the streams.